What's up, everyone? JD here. Got a new one in today. Let's jump into this. All right, guys. This is a new model coming in from Ketuo, and it's very interesting to say the least. So, just gonna show it off. This is the Mecha, and I think I'm saying that right. I know there's an X on the end, so I don't know if it's supposed to be MechaX or just Mecha. But this is a really interesting model here. Premium knife for sure. You got M390. You got a Tonto blade shape here with a clip on the tip. Beautiful titanium thumb studs. Sometimes these ramp thumb studs are either hit or miss for me, but I'm actually really liking these. They got some milling on there. They ramp up. They definitely come into the blade path though. So depending on where you land on those, I know the traditional round studs can be a little bit boring, but this definitely is not boring. But if it's something you don't like that gets in the way when it comes into some of the blade path, you're not going to like that because it really does. The jimping's back here, and you still have plenty of blade space left, and you can even come in at an angle and hit stuff and miss those thumb studs. But, you know, I could see that argument there. You got a clamshell design, very unique design. Lefty threw some tritium in on here, and I meant to grab my flashlight. Let me do that real quick so you guys can potentially see that glowing. I know on camera, the camera screen doesn't necessarily show it very well, but he definitely threw some tritium tubes in there to kind of show that off, and I think that's pretty cool. I like that they have that feature there for you if you elected to use it. And, you know, I use Ant Design. They have green, blue, red, orange, purple. I feel like they got like a ton of colors that you can choose from. Some I feel like are brighter than others. You got a nice pocket clip here milled from titanium. This is actually on the frame of the knife, and one thing that's very interesting on here is you can actually see where the nested liner lock hits right here. That's really interesting and a very cool design. The ergos on this are pretty comfortable. When I was cutting with it, there's a couple of little hot spots, but nothing real bad. And again, this is coming via the pass around group, but I have found that Ketuo does their M390 pretty good. So, you know, the edge didn't feel awful. It definitely moved through the cardboard just fine. It's not the thinnest blade stock, or thinnest geometry, I should say, on the blade grind that I've ever seen, but it's pretty good considering that it's definitely more of a full-size knife. So I definitely enjoyed cutting with it. Couldn't feel the pocket clip. Just a little harsh right here on these particular cuts. They're immediate stops to transition, so you feel that a little bit, but it's not super uncomfortable. You just kind of feel it as you're going through. I'm able to get a full grip on here, plenty of space left over, lots of space here for me to land on to hold the knife. Now, I don't think it's intended to hold way back here, but I mean, if you're going to be doing something where you're chopping with it for whatever reason, if you needed to chop at something, I'd probably say you want to choke back. And I can get 3.5 fingers on this way, but to me, it's really intended to be held here. The jimping locks you in perfect. Everything lands perfect. About the only thing that I'm complaining about at this particular point is just going to be that I don't really like the bead blasted finish on the blade. You know, I'd rather see a stone wash or a static wash, and that's preference. Some people are going to really like that, and some people are not. I'm just trying to clean some of the smut off of there so that you guys can see it. But M390, pretty corrosive resistant, so it should stand up pretty good. I like the gearing here on this. It's just a really unique design. Not something I'd probably normally gravitate towards, but it is definitely unique. And then you can see when you disengage the lock, it sits flush, and it remains flush all the way to the closed position. And then you really only see a little bit of it recessing back when it drops down into the T-temp ball hole. The blade tucks completely away in here. I've tried to reach down in there to reach it, but they got it marries perfect to where it hides in to the actual handle here, and you can't get to it. So good job there. They definitely took it the full length out. No room to spare, no spacing or anything like that. And then they integrated this back spacer with the lock bar piece on to the back for the lanyard, but they kept it nice and low profile because normally I'm not a fan of the lanyard hole popping out to the back here. I prefer, if they're going to do a lanyard, that they do it kind of dug in, which obviously for this design wouldn't work, but that's usually my preference. But this is okay. This isn't going to bother me too much. It kind of reminds me a little bit, and we'll bring this back out here in a little bit for size comparison, of the Padre. I actually, the Padre comes out because that's the style design. But if they would have gone flat, would have been even better, or kind of like squared off, sort of like that. I actually would have liked that better on the Padre. Again, the tritium on here, I think there's a little bit of like the residue from the glue from where Lefty stuck those on there on the handle. So just something to be mindful of. And then you have a flipper tab for deployment, good detent on there, nice and smooth action. Thumb studs, thumb ramps, I should say. Those work really well. Disengagement feels a little tight, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if that's because the clamshell on here is pinching the frame. Looks like it's starting to drop a little bit easier. No, it's still delayed. So I'm going to tell you when I push it in and watch how long it takes to drop. So in, okay. See, almost two. 1, 2, yeah. And I think I pushed it there. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so it's definitely sitting in there. And then because I'm having to wait, it's dropping down. It's starting to chip at the thumbnail. So I'll check to see if I can loosen that any when I take the backspacer off, which is really easy to do. So I'm going to close it to take that backspacer off, or that clamshell backspacer, which is this entire top piece. So it's really just grabbing it, pulling the spring down. Why do I feel like it's not moving? Oh, okay. It's very strong. And then lifting up, you can see it's right here. And it looks like it's almost magnetic. I can't tell. And then it has these little catches on there. So yeah, that does feel tight. I'm just curious now. There's no play. And it almost drops immediately with that clamshell off. So I think it's probably on there a little tight. I don't know if Lefty disassembled this or not, so I'm just going to try to back it out ever so slightly. Ever so slightly. It did move. Let's check to see if it developed any play. There's no play. Oh, yeah, that's much better. It was just way too tight, and I have a feeling, yep, it's almost worked itself back over. So let's go ahead, and that's T8 construction there. And what I'm curious about is for disassembly is how you get the rest of the knife apart. Or do you? Is this one piece? No, it definitely comes apart. It definitely comes apart. We're not taking it apart because it's not my knife. I just wanted to demonstrate the back strap. But I'm not 100% sure that there's another screw for this construction. I'm guessing it must be the back strap that holds that in place. Yeah, it's still favoring the right a little bit, but not by a lot. And it is not moving, and the action is much better. So I'm just going to leave it as is because I prefer to have the action than to have it perfectly centered. It was way too tight before. You got to pull this down to reassemble it. Yeah, you do. Okay. Yeah, and there's no play. It's in there solid. Let's check it now. Oh, yeah. Yep, definitely better, but you can see it does favor the show side a little bit, but it was just way too tight on there. It was not wanting to drop smoothly, and there's no side-to-side play. All right, let's go ahead and do some size comparisons, and then weigh the knife, and then we'll give it a score. All right, so the MechaX riding on bearings, very smooth action. Here it is compared to the Spyderco lightweights that I own. The Para 3 lightweight is smaller, and the Manix 2 lightweight is right about the same size, it looks like. I'm just looking side to side to compare it. Let's do a couple more. All right, here it is against the CJRB Echo Premium and the Kunwu Padre full size. And as you can see, it is more in line with the Kunwu full size and just a little bit bigger than the Echo, which is about a bug out size knife. Close profile, and then we'll wait. Okay, so what's really impressive here is that folded up, even though it's close to the size and length of the Padre, it's actually more narrow in width than either knife on the table, which I like carrying a lot. And it's about the same length closed up. Yeah, about the same length, just a touch longer than the MechaX 2 lightweight. Let's check the weight on this one out with the back strap. We're going to compare it to the Kunwu Padre also while we have the scale out, because I'm curious with the back strap how close it comes to that Padre. I'm thinking, all right, let's do the Padre first. Padre's what, 5'4"? 5.3 ounces. I'm going to say it's pretty close to the Padre, coming in at 4.9. So it's really hard to tell the difference between 5.3 and 4.9. They feel very similar in hand. It's really hard to tell the difference. Okay, so this one is listed at the time of this recording at $315. You're getting M390 titanium, the ability to insert tritium here. Very interesting clamshell lock system. You know, I think they're just flexing, if I'm being honest, just showing off what they can do here with this. And then, you know, it's all titanium construction with a steel lock bar insert. Flipper tab and thumb ramps for deployment work very good. Now that I've adjusted the pivot, very smooth action. It's buttery smooth. Very unique looking knife. What goes into the score is, again, materials, performance, feel, performance. And in performance is both the feel and, you know, how it cuts, the detent, all of that. You know, you're looking at, I don't know, 30% lockup. The thing is hidden in there. Let me see if I can find where it's hidden. About 40%. 40% lockup. I can't spine whack it. It's not mine. It is a review sample that I'm able to kind of check out, so I apologize for that. Can't do the full disassembly either. So that makes it a little hard to say from a ease of disassembly. It looks like it could be complex. I'm actually, now that I can see the part in there that's connecting. I literally think the clamshell helps keep it together, and there's probably pin construction in here with that bolt. I think it'd be easy to disassemble. So I'm going to say medium disassembly, just in case I'm not 100% sure on there. This one, to me, I'll give it a 7.4. I think that's a solid number. Not 100% my style of knife. I don't love the bead blast. I do like that they got that that plunge grind back here, so you got some sharpening life on it. I don't love that the thumb ramps go so far into the cutting path, but I like the thumb ramps. It's, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of, I like this, but I don't like this, if that makes sense. Jimping's in here. It's fairly comfortable, except for the little bit of sharpness that I feel back here. I wish they could have maybe, you know, chamfered it a little bit on these corners to make it a little bit softer. I love the ingenuity here. I think it's beautiful that you can see the way that the lock bar works. I don't know if it's a steel lock bar, but I'm thinking that they finish it to look like the titanium, or I'm not quite sure if the steel lock bar, let me see, maybe a flashlight would help me here. Okay, this is, wow, okay, so it is titanium on top of steel. So the steel lock bar is just this little part that comes out that you disengage, and looks like there's 2 screws holding it in place for the lock bar. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. I'm gonna try my best to line this up, but there's 2 screws in there, and I think you're seeing it, for that steel lock bar onlay. And I didn't notice this until I popped the light down there, but it says Ketuo and MechaX in there. So I'm not quite sure what MechaX means. If somebody does know, if you could leave it in the comment for everybody else. But I'm happy with that score, considering, you know, there's a lot of ingenuity here. It definitely has a unique factor. it's not awful for the price point considering everything on this, right? There's a lot of machining and tooling going on, so I get that it's a little bit more than their $250 to $300 range that they normally offer. Having said that, it's like $15 more or above that $300 price point to give you all of this, and it's really quite cool. Let me know what you think about the MechaX. Very interesting. Would you pick it up? Won't you pick it up? I'm not an affiliate with them, unfortunately. I'd love to be, because I think they do some very interesting knives for sure over there at Ketuo. But it is a very unique option, very different, and I enjoy the fact that I was able to check this one out. If you enjoyed, on your way, if you could, hit that like button. If you're going to be doing any shopping today or in the near future, don't forget those links are down there. When you use them, it helps the channel. And if you enjoy the content, consider subscribing if you are not subscribed. A huge shout out to my channel members. You guys rock. I love you all, and I hope you have a fantastic week. I'm out of here. Catch you on the next one. Peace.